Welcome to the Fantasy Football Prophet Podcast, hosted by Craig Phillips and Jeff Torrey. Visit us at fantasyfootballprophet.com. And now your hosts, Craig and Jeff.
Welcome everyone to the Fantasy Football Prophet Podcast. I'm Craig Phillips, joined as always by Jeff Torrey, and today we're talking wide receivers. We're going to do our top 15 receivers today. Last week we did our running backs. Week before we did quarterbacks. So if you missed those, make sure you guys go check those out on our podcast feed on Apple, Spotify, every basically place you could possibly get a podcast. We're there. Go check us out. Go check out those episodes we did the last couple weeks. Go to youtube.com/fantasyfootballprophet as well. Subscribe to us there. Go to instagram.com/fantasyfootballprophet. You can see some ranks there as well. So there we go. There's the plugs. Go to those places. Follow us. Let's get to some receivers. Me and Jeff have taken our ranks, combined them to get our average rank of who's a number 1 through 15. And I'll give you my number 1, Jeff's number 1. We did not have the same number 1 at wide receiver. But our number 1 becomes Tyreek Hill. You had him number 1, I had him number 2. He was my number 1 at a time. I've switched it. I don't think I feel terribly comfortable with a true number 1 here. I don't think even though you have a number 1, I did for a bit. And I don't feel good about, I'll say most of my players. I just don't know who's the number 1. I feel like if we knew Aaron Rodgers was for sure in Green Bay, I think Devontae Adams probably becomes number 1.
I would agree with you.
Okay. It's just it's the hesitation right now on what's going on there.
Exactly. And you don't even know, even if he comes back, you wonder if he's going to be disgruntled or what's going on. So he's still number 2, I assume.
Not for me.
Oh, really? Okay.
I dropped them to 3.
Oh, okay.
So Tyreek Hill was 2 and Adams was 3 for me.
Oh, okay. Now I'm interested.
So Tyreek Hill number 1. I'll just give these top 3.
Yeah.
So Tyreek Hill's number 1. Stephon Diggs is number 2. And Adams 3. Stephon Diggs, my number 1.
Number 1.
I went with Stephon Diggs. I've been a Stephon Diggs guy.
Yes.
You know this.
And I totally get it. He's number 3 on mine. But putting him above Tyreek Hill and Devontae,
I did it.
Give me that pitch. He comes up, and you're kind of like, I'm going to take Diggs over Devontae.
So first off, over Devontae, it's honestly just Aaron Rodgers right now. Okay. Probably more. I mean, maybe. So Devontae probably jumped. Probably leaped.
Okay. So are you telling me no matter what, Diggs would be below Hill?
Diggs is above Hill for me. Yeah, Diggs.
Yeah. I'm sorry.
I feel safer with Diggs for some reason than Hill. And I mean, Tyreek Hill is ridiculous, but something about it, I love Stephon Diggs. And I think in year 2, they're even going to be better with Josh Allen. And man, I want Stephon Diggs. I can't believe I could get him last year as my 3rd receiver. It's ridiculous to think. Stephon, there's not going to be a lot of people that probably have number 1. I know.
Are you worried about a regression from the Buffalo QB, from Josh Allen?
Not really. I'm really not. Honestly, I think he's going to be that good. I mean, Diggs. Look at Diggs' numbers last year: 127 catches, 1,500 yards, 8 touchdowns.
And the thing that was most impressive when you look at his numbers, it was definitely spread out. It wasn't like a lot of these guys up here. They definitely have huge games that kind of make the numbers look better. He was game in, game out. I mean, there was very few games where you put him in and he wasn't a good play.
Yep.
So I do really appreciate that about him. I do worry a little bit more about Josh Allen. I mean, first of all, Diggs has been doing it for multiple years. This is not coming out of nowhere, right? I do worry because Josh Allen threw a buttload of touchdowns. I do think that could go down. Would that affect Diggs? Because he's clearly the guy that you have to cover. Can you? I do not know that. But you think that you would throw everything at him. So I do worry about just the NFL making it tougher on him, every defense. But once again, he's number 3 for me. I can't argue with you.
And they will try to go after him, but I think they have some decent receivers around him that'll help out. I mean, it's not like it's amazing, but they got Emmanuel Sanders now, who will still take some attention. Gabriel Davis, I like him. I think he can make defenses honest. We'll see what Cole Beasley might be there. He's had these, stuff going on with him where he doesn't even, I'm not sure if he's going to play or not. But Tyreek, so the reason I guess for Tyreek is I just still feel like there's too much of the boomer bust with him even yet. Look at some of these games last year. I mean, he had some huge games, right? Like 13 catches for 269 yards and 3 touchdowns. Remember that game? That was nuts. The week before, he had 11 for 102 and touchdowns. The week before, he had 9 for 113, 2 touchdowns. Week before, 4 for 98, 2 touchdowns. He had some great games there, right? Good stretch. But he had a 3 for 20. He had a 5 for 46. He had a 4 for 64. He had a 6 for 55. He had a 6 for 58, 6 for 53, 4 for 65. So there's a lot of those in there. The difference is he gets touchdowns. He gets more touchdowns than Diggs right now. it probably will still happen. It's just Diggs had almost 40 more catches and something like that. I think Diggs in the overall, just the amount of volume he's going to get. I want that safety and not quite relying on the Tyreek Hill touchdowns. So that's where I'm at.
I don't blame you for having him up there either way. I mean, Hill and Devontae still feel like Devontae, and maybe that's a name recognition thing.
Devontae with Aaron Rodgers is going to be the safest, best option.
Right.
It's just I can't rank it that way right now.
Yeah.
Without knowing.
What's really interesting about this too? I know that we came off a very strange year, but it does feel like a lot of when Devontae Adams is possibly the oldest, is like the most well-known name of the top 5 that we have.
Yeah.
That's pretty crazy. Like I would say in the top 10, depending on how we have it, we probably have 3 guys that were like perennial from before. And then the new guard is starting to come up here, right?
So,
and I would consider Diggs kind of like, he's definitely been around.
Yep.
But he's definitely one of the new guard, if you will.
Well, the next one would be the other guy. So Deandre Hopkins came in 4 for us. He was 4 for me and 5 for you.
Yep.
So he's the next, obviously, name. And, really good first year in Arizona, 115 catches, 1,400 yards, only 6 touchdowns. So I feel like that should go up in a way. He might actually have better numbers. He might actually be better than this. But I think he's a pretty safe top 5 option.
Very safe. I mean, when you have 1,400 yards, and you talk about this, he hasn't gone below 1,000 yards since 2016.
Yep.
He played a full year, which is weird, and he only had 954. But after that, over 1,300 yards, over 1,500 yards, over 11, over 14. The touchdowns go up and down, but yeah, he's incredibly solid. And you do have, depending on how it shakes out, right, you have a few more weapons for Kyler Murray to use. So you do wonder if it helps him get open a little bit, but you highly doubt it because he's such a well-known commodity. But yeah, he's unbelievable.
And so far in consensus ranks for Fantasy Pros, it was Tyreek Hill, Adams, Diggs, Hopkins. We're the top 4.
Okay.
So we're kind of, we similar to the consensus, but number 5 for us is Calvin Ridley. My 4, your 4, my 6th.
Mm-hmm.
So with Ridley, I mean, I think he's a solid option. I don't actually. So Ridley's interesting to me because I don't feel like he's like necessary. If Ridley fans are all going to hate me. I just don't feel like Ridley's necessarily like completely elite. I think he's very, very good, and he's in a good spot for him to get a lot of catches. But I don't think he's as talented, I don't think he's as talented as the guys ahead of him, to be honest. And he's probably not as talented to me as DK Metcalf.
I was going to say, we're about to talk about Metcalf.
So,
but first of all, who is as talented? He's a freak.
It's just not.
In the best way.
He's good. He's really good. I think everyone is thinking, Julio's gone. It just automatically equates to more for Ridley. And sometimes that works out, but not always because Julio took a lot of attention away.
See, I thought about this too when I was making my ranks, and I was kind of like, I don't know how this is going to shake out for him without Julio, but
it's hard to say.
Julio was banged up. He was hurt a lot of last year, right? And Ridley had his best season ever.
But
I mean, you look
Julio
at this
was still there for most games, so.
Yes, but at some point you have to know, right? This is the thing. Before that, when he was really coming up, and I know you were a big fan of him like 2 years ago too, when he kind of but 92 targets and then, he turns that into 64 catches, 121 yards, 10 touchdowns. That was his rookie year. Next year, 93 targets for 63 receptions, 866 yards, and 7 touchdowns. Last year, when Julio was hurt and they could not stop anyone, their defense was awful, and I don't think it's gotten that much better.
Yep.
I do think that they're going to still have to go to him a ton. And you're kind of like, those bulk numbers, will he improve on them? 100%. Targets 143. He caught 90 of the balls, which he can improve on. He was over 1,300 yards, and he had 9 touchdowns. So even though, the touchdown, I think that's a big one. It wasn't a ridiculous number. He can definitely repeat that, which is huge for me. And, I mean, if they're going to pepper him with 150 targets, you're going to, I can't imagine him going less than 1,200 yards. So I feel like he should have a solid year. And you also have Pitts at tight end. Hopefully that will shake things up. I don't know how they're going to fill in for Julio, how that's going to turn out, but I do think they're going to force feed him the ball because I don't think they can do anything else. So I still feel obviously you feel good about him too, but I feel very, very good about this guy. And it took me a moment too, because I don't think of him in that way. I don't think of him as elite, but as I was poring over the numbers, I was kind of changing my mind. I was kind of like, maybe it's just a team that I haven't watched enough because they were so terrible last year.
Yeah, could be. Yeah, I don't want everyone to just think automatically his numbers are going to go up just because. But if they stay the same, they're good. They're great. They're still.
I just can't. I think he will get bulk numbers. So even if he isn't as good, he will still be up here.
All right, number 6 for us was DK Metcalf. My 5th, your 6th. Just a ridiculously talented player.
If they did not fall off at the end of last year, he would be higher.
Yeah, they didn't have the same offense at the end last year, but they're bringing. I mean, it's pretty much the same group. Still has Lockett there with him. Obviously, Russell Wilson, Chris Carson, same group. This guy's ridiculous. And I'm hoping, like, last year's just isn't like his peak, and that's just he's still going. 83 catches, 13 yards, 10 touchdowns last year. He can just get behind defenses and score touchdowns, and I'd like to see some more of that and not drop the ball on, like, the 1 yard line he did once. But, DK Metcalf, I don't think there's really much. He's just much more to talk about. He's amazing.
Yeah.
Number 7, Justin Jefferson. 7 for both of us. Jeff, you called this one last year. You were the big Justin Jefferson guy, and it worked out. Actually, it didn't work out in one of our leagues because everyone knew that about you.
Yeah, that was painful.
They took him from you.
Yeah.
But 88 catches for 1,400 yards and 7 touchdowns in his first year. That is amazing. Why won't it get better? He was only 21 years old, too. Why can't he get better?
You still have Thielen on the other side. You have Irv Smith. You can run with Delvin Cook. I mean, I don't understand why his numbers would diminish greatly. Like, I think that he's going to have a good year. Can he repeat? That's we'll find out. But I think he's going to be a very solid top 10 wide receiver.
Yep, I agree. All right, number 8 is Michael Thomas for us. My 8th, your 9th. So he was lower in consensus ranks for a while, and I think I didn't know. I'm just checking now. I didn't realize this, but he has jumped up a little higher finally to number 9. Which I think people are starting to realize. I mean, how ridiculously good was he 2 years ago? 149 catches for 1,700 yards. Drew Brees, yes, was a lot of that. 100% Drew Brees was a lot of that. But you just don't catch 449 yards for 1,700 yards just because you're a quarterback. You have to be good. Last year he got hurt. He only played 7 games, 40 catches, 438 yards. He got hurt early in the year, and it just wasn't the same. If Jameis is the quarterback, I feel pretty good.
And once again, it always comes down. But the Saints team, and I do have him ranked at number 9 because he's worth the shot.
Yep.
Because what if he could be the number 1 overall guy? He honestly could.
Mm-hmm.
If he didn't get hurt last year and he put up decent numbers, he would definitely be in my top 3.
Oh yeah,
I mean that's just what it would be. The thing that I'm gonna keep coming back to, but when you talk about any Saints player, you are always gonna be wondering: is Hill gonna be how much is Hill gonna be playing? How much is he behind center? Is it Jameis? Even then, I love Thomas if Jameis is there. It does not mean he's going to go back to what he did 2 years ago because Jameis will throw more, interceptions. He's not going to be quite as accurate as Brees was. So, but yes, Jameis, he could be a golden ticket because you might be able to get him at the bottom end of the, first round of wide receivers and he could be number 1 overall. But you just don't know yet. I mean, it's going to be very difficult, so you have to wait.
It's very possible a Jameis-Michael Thomas grouping wins you some stuff this year. If you get Michael Thomas, obviously, you don't have to get him in the first round. You get him later.
And you don't have to get Jameis until like the very end.
Oh, man.
I know no one is really onto this one yet, but he is one guy
man.
I just keep throwing on my bench and being like,
sucks, Jeff. Why we're going to fight for him in a couple leagues?
Yeah, probably. Well, no, it's going to be funny too. I guarantee this is what's going to happen. One of us will get Jameis, and the other one will just be like, haha, and then take Hill, and then Hill will be the starter, and then we'll be like, oh no,
no. Well, I think it could be, but either way, I think we'll end up with. Feels like it's going to be Jameis and Ryan Tannehill will be our quarterbacks.
Oh, well, first of all, shout out to Tannehill again. I'll take him all day. And people keep doubting that guy.
Speaking of Tannehill, how about one of his receivers here? Number 9, A.J. Brown. Number 10 for me, 8 for you. He did go down in the consensus a little bit after Julio came on board. He's now 7th in the consensus, so we're slightly lower on him. A.J. Brown is a really good player. I sometimes feel the hype gets a little much with him, actually, in a way. Not saying he's not great. He is. They still are a run-first team. But if they're a run-first team, but when you get A.J. Brown and Julio, I just don't know if his numbers are going to increase like a huge amount from this. 70 receptions, 1,000 yards, 11 touchdowns. That's still good. But look, we just talked about DK's numbers, Justin Jefferson's numbers. He's not there yet, but people put him there. Yeah. So he's close, but Tannehill's going to throw the ball to Julio a lot too. Not going to say doesn't lower him. He still could probably be better than this, but let's just, he's a while there. He was like top 3 in these ranks.
Yeah. And I agree with you wholeheartedly. I I love his talent and everything, but you are capped by the type of offense you run. He's amazing with Tannehill. He definitely made a huge jump from his rookie year to last year. He pretty much had the same amount of yards, even though he had 18 more catches.
Yep.
But the thing that is crazy about him and that kind of worries me is he is so incredibly good at the big plays. Like, that is how he's scoring all these touchdowns.
Yeah.
But, with only 52 receptions his rookie year, he had 8 touchdowns. He averaged 20.2 yards per reception, which is a ridiculous number. Usually you're down around 12. And then last year he was the same thing, 15.4 with 11 touchdowns. So the worry is, and this is why I actually really like Julio coming on board, because I think that right now you're like, okay, we throw everything at him. If we stop him and we somehow stop Derrick Henry, both of them, which seems impossible, but we will have a very good chance of winning the game. You have Julio out there, and all of a sudden, do you throw your number one on Julio? Do you throw your number one AJ? Someone is going to get open, and you don't have to have a lot of targets when you're as deadly as him. So this is why he's at the bottom of my top 10, because he might be as talented as anyone on this board, but he's not going to get as many targets as a lot of these guys. He's not going to get 140 targets. We just talked about.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. So that is going to be the thing. But he is a great talent. It'll be really fun to watch him and Julio go. I actually think that is a very positive thing for him this year.
All right, number 10, round out our top 10 here. Allen Robinson, my 11, your 10. This is actually a little
safe.
He is safe. He possibly could have his best quarterback he's ever had, Justin Fields. I don't know how that's going to play out.
He could also possibly have this worst quarterback. We don't know. We don't know.
It's just we don't know the situation yet, but I think he's good. I think I feel decent about him. He's played with bad quarterbacks, and he's been able to put up good numbers. He's had Blake Bortles, and he's had Mitch Trubisky in his life, and that's all he's had, and he's done very well.
I don't think they're going to change the offense, and this is the number that matters. The last 2 years, because the first year in Chicago, he only played 12 games. The last 2 years, he's had over 150 targets each time.
Yeah.
If you throw him 150 targets, this guy is going to perform. And he's only had 7 and 6 touchdowns with all of that work, over 1,100 yards, over 1,200 yards. I mean, heaven forbid the touchdowns go up. I just don't feel you can go wrong here. I think he's incredibly safe to pick.
Yep. All right, number 11. Keenan Allen comes in at number 11 for us. He's 11 for you, 12 for me. And again, here is where you just want safety. Keenan Allen is safe. So his last 4 years, starting in 2017, 102 catches, 97 catches, 104 catches, 100 catches. His yardage has gone down slightly this last year. It was 1,300, then 1,196, 1,199, 992. His touchdowns were 6,668.
Yeah.
He's just consistent, good, but this is his best. Phillip Rivers was good, obviously, but I think Justin Herbert's even possibly could be better.
He's better. I do worry
in year 2 especially.
I do worry about Eckler coming back and taking away some of these targets. But once again, if I'm going to mention it with Allen Robinson, I have to mention it with this guy. And what I absolutely love about it, even with Herbert, because he had for the last 4 years, his targets 159, 136, 149, and with Herbert missing 3 games, he had 147 targets.
Yeah.
Are you out of your mind? If he plays a full year, he's probably still hitting this number, even if Eckler takes some away. Once again, incredibly safe.
Oh, 100%.
Especially for a PPR.
And where he goes in these kind of where he is ranked and stuff, you can get Keenan Allen possibly as your number 2. Keenan Allen is your second receiver is just awesome. That I would love to have him as my number 2. That you're in really good shape then.
And where did he? Yeah, and he came in at 12th last year.
Yeah, he's just very and he's actually consensus number 10 right now. So people are on board with Keenan Allen this year. All right, number 12 for us is Terry McLaurin. This is our probably biggest difference. My 9th, your 15th. So,
okay, I'll be interested because he is a very good player. I just have a hard time putting a Washington wide receiver up there.
I think Ryan Fitzpatrick is going to bring this out in him and be better than what he's been dealing with for sure. So I really like having Ryan Fitzpatrick there with Terry McLaurin. So Terry McLaurin, okay. Rookie year, I thought it was a very impressive rookie year. I mean, for 58 catches, 919, 7 touchdowns. It was a good start. Year 2 last year, 87 catches, 1,100 yards, only 4 touchdowns. If you look at his numbers compared to A.J. Brown, he gets more targets both of the years, more catches both of his years. It's the touchdowns. I think Ryan Fitzpatrick starts to change that. I think this offense is better. if I guess I can't just say, just take away the touchdowns. Don't worry about those. And I know it doesn't work that way, but if you just look at targets, receptions, yards, Terry McLaurin has been better than A.J. Brown all 3 years. I think those touchdowns improve, and that's why I have Terry McLaurin one spot ahead of A.J. Brown in my ranks.
Okay.
So, and I think Terry McLaurin just gets Tennessee's been good for 2 years.
Yes.
Terry McLaurin's been on a bad team, and he's still putting up those numbers, I think, with a better quarterback. Second year, Antonio Gibson. They added Curtis Samuel to that team, right? So there's a little more help with him. So I'm Logan Thomas, good tight end. I think they have some good players. I am very interested in McLaurin.
I have a hard time arguing with you because when you talk about targets, that's the big thing.
Yeah.
They threw it to him 134 times last year. I think he missed a game. And when you're talking about A.J. Brown, that's the worry, right? Mm-hmm. If you're capping out at 100 targets, if a guy gets thrown to 40 more times, it very, very easily can you get three more touchdowns, and all of a sudden, Terry McLaurin is a better deal. Mm-hmm. So I do get it.
All right. Next up, let's go 2 players here. 13, 14, Chris Godwin, Mike Evans. They're my 13 and 14. Godwin's your 12, Evans is your 17.
Yep.
They are interesting. I don't know how comfortable I feel here, but then again, I look at the players after, and I feel like they're in a better team, better offense, and they probably should be here, right? I just feel like they should. So but I don't know how comfortable. I think after McLaurin, for me, I'm not as comfortable, to be honest. I think some of these guys, but just not quite as comfortable. Godwin was hurt a lot of last year. Missed 4 games, but it still affected them. 65 catches, 847 touchdowns. Evans had 70 for 1,013 touchdowns in 16 games. I don't 100% know what to expect because there's so many guys there. They got Antonio. I think the Antonio Brown factor is very interesting. I just don't know how that's going to play out. I don't know how much more of an impact he has. He came on last year, partway through the year. Does that change things? And it might. It really might. This is one I got to think about later on. I mean, these are the initial ranks, but I very well could drop actually both of these guys just because of how many people there are around there. So I just don't have a good read on it, to be honest. I like both players, but I just don't have a great read on the situation for them.
And you're not going to be alone. I think that is what keeps me away at who is actually number one. In my mind, I think Godwin being healthy, assuming he will be the number 1 overall wide receiver on that team. And then, Mike Evans will be number 2, but he's definitely the touchdown maker, but you wonder when everyone is healthy, will he get 13 again? That is the most he's ever caught before. Brady is going to throw a lot of touchdowns, but Godwin could take a lot of those. The Gronk really came on late, all this stuff. So Evans scares me a little more, but one of these guys probably, and here's the thing, the biggest worry is not the fact that you take a shot on one of them and say, I think he's going to be number 1, which I would say Godwin. If someone wants to say Evans, okay. But the worry is everyone cannibalizes everyone else. Mm-hmm. And all of a sudden, no one goes over 7 touchdowns because there's 15 guys to throw to. That is a real worry because just between Antonio Brown, Mike Evans, and Godwin, not to mention all the tight ends they have, they could each score 7. And you're looking at 21 already, not to mention because
here we go. We got
how many touchdowns can Tom Brady throw?
You have Evans and Godwin and Brown and Gronk and Brate and OJ Howard coming back, and they drafted Jalen Darden. They still have Scotty Miller out there. They just signed Gio Bernard, who is going to catch the ball a couple times. That's a lot of guys. Mm-hmm. That's a lot of players they can throw the ball to. A lot of players. I mean, that's interesting. I mean, I'm thinking about those tight ends. You really think all 3 tight ends make the roster? That's a lot of.
It's hard to cut one of those guys.
It is. Those are, man, this is crazy. It's a lot of players to throw the ball to.
So, but
it makes it where I might have to rethink my rank, and I actually have to drop him just because of my uncertainty.
Yeah, and I get that. And that's why Chris Godwin, even though I think he'll be healthy this year and I think he's the best wide receiver on Tampa Bay, I still have him 12th because I think that is me already putting into the idea of, they're going to spread the ball out. So that's why he's 12 and then Mike Evans is 17. I think there's other players that will creep up. I don't know if my Tampa Bay love will, these guys will go up anymore. I think it's more of they just shrink. They almost shrink each other. And all of a sudden you see 3-4 Tampa Bay players all in the top 30.
It could happen. All right, let's end this with one more player here, our top 15. Amari Cooper finds his way to 15 for us. My 17th, your 16th, but he makes his way to 15th.
Dang it.
Yeah, so Amari Cooper. But okay,
dang it, Amari.
Okay, I've been thinking about this one. I'm thinking about Amari Cooper and how I feel like the narrative's completely changed to everyone loves CeeDee Lamb, right? CeeDee Lamb.
Okay, so now he's a value. Is that where you're going with this?
Maybe.
I mean, that's not wrong,
So,
but once again, that doesn't change.
It's still Amari Cooper in his up and down nature,
Yeah.
but if you can get him as a later, as a second receiver, but it's a little bit later maybe than before, it's not as bad. So last year, without Dak for much of the year, he still had 92 catches, 1,100 yards, only 5 touchdowns. You think with Dak, that probably increases.
That goes up, yeah.
I mean,
Well, we
really,
say that, but let's be honest. He's only had 8 in a long career.
True.
He's only had 8 as the most.
Yeah, that's very true. But he's pretty much a lock for 1,000 yards for you.
Yeah.
And 80 to 90 catches. It's just if you can get those touchdowns up a little bit. I don't know. Everyone here knows my Amari Cooper thoughts if you've listened to the show over the years. I'm not haven't been the biggest fan. He is creator of my most terrible fantasy football moment of my life in whatever year that was where he went nuts.
I have to say that I have to do this to you because, first of all, we both have him ranked a little bit lower, and he just happens to get on here. But I'm angry that he's in our top 15, only because your point is so valid. And I'm going to do this again. So even last year, I realized he had kind of a crap quarterback in the second half of the season. But before that, the first 4 games, he was kind of going bonkers, even though he only caught 1 touchdown. But anyway, that was when Dak went down. Okay, even after that, though, he goes back to being incredibly unpredictable.
Yeah, that's what he's been in.
Like after Dak, when Dak was going crazy, he would have been the number 1 quarterback.
Because Dak got hurt in his 5th game.
Who knows if that actually goes anywhere. The first one, he had 10 for 81, 6 for 100, 9 for 86, 12 for 134 and a touchdown. And then all of a sudden Dak is gone. So
those 4 games with Dak, man,
they're ridiculous. But that was also before CeeDee Lamb really got
am I talking
his
myself
feet wet.
Amari Cooper?
But after that, it goes back, and this was when CeeDee Lamb started doing better as well. You have worse quarterbacks, obviously, but 2 for 23, 7 for 79 touchdowns, 7 for 80, 1 for 5, 5 for 67, 6 for 81, 6 for 112 and a touchdown, 5 for 43 and a touchdown, 4 for 51 touchdown, 2 for 10, 4 for 121, 6 for 41. So a lot better than it was before, but still scares me, especially with CeeDee Lamb coming around. You still have Gallup. But do you try to establish the run at all? I don't know.
This is where it depends on where Amari Cooper starts falling. Does he fall behind CeeDee Lamb? Actually, funny thing is I ranked CeeDee Lamb 16 and Amari 17, so I did have CeeDee Lamb ahead of him by 1 spot.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Okay.
So, but do some of these guys start going ahead of Amari? Is it CeeDee Lamb go ahead of him? Robert Woods go ahead of him? Kenny Galladay, Julio, DJ Moore, those kind of guys. Do they go ahead of him and Amari just slightly drops? Because he's just not that.
Okay, I'll give you this. I have him 16th, and I do believe him there. I don't. I just he feels so boring to talk about in the top 15.
But that's what I'm saying. Like I think that might be where all of a sudden this is how fantasy football works. Where all of a sudden Amari Cooper could become a value because he's become boring.
Yeah, and everyone's going to want to get CeeDee Lamb instead.
You want the the new thing, and maybe Amari Cooper all of a sudden becomes a value.
Yeah, I could see
I can't believe I could possibly talk myself into Amari Cooper, but
hey, you know what? If
it's happening.
There's
slightly.
a lot that has to fall into place, right? First of all, the defense has to be still very bad. It looks like they've accomplished that. Dak has to be back to where he was.
Yep.
I mean, that's a very true thing.
And I have Dak as my number 3 quarterback, so obviously I believe
I do not. And he looks like he's running around like he's relatively healthy. That's great. But it's a lot different from being healthy to being sharp and not being gun shy and all that good stuff. And CeeDee Lamb pretty much has to, Amari could still be very good, but CeeDee Lamb still has to be technically the number 2 if we think Amari is going to be here.
Yep. All right. There we go. Top 15. So I just want to see, is there any guy?
Yeah, I was going to say, there's a couple I have to ask you.
Is there any guy later on that you just really are, this is my guy, one of my guys this year that's not in the top 15? Do you have anybody that's like, this is my guy I'm going after? Because last year it would have been Diggs for us and Jefferson. They were way back there. Do we have that kind of guy this year? I have a couple in mind, to be honest. So
I was going to say, well, first of all, I think I'm probably higher on T. Higgins.
Okay, so T. Higgins.
T. Higgins is going to be one of my guys. I mean, I've said it a lot already, but Chase is going to be probably more sought after than he is. He was quietly on a bad team. Burrow will be back. I think a lot is really going in his direction. I like T. Higgins a lot, and you can get him at a good cost right now. So he would probably be number 1. Who's someone that comes to your mind?
Me, probably Deontay Johnson. It's one of mine.
I like that one.
88 catches last year, 144 targets last year. The yardage isn't there yet, but
okay, we can do a whole podcast on.
And I think we're just having some value receivers.
Well, that too, but I think we could do a whole podcast on Steelers wide receivers.
We probably could. It might be a good idea.
This is going to be the most confusing thing for a lot of people, right? Because Deontay Johnson is a true talent. He's great. Chase Claypool, I was a big fan of last year. He definitely showed, and he's going to be the one everyone's like, he has the most potential. Mm-hmm. And then we have Juju, who's only a couple years away from being one of the top 10 wide receivers.
He's interesting.
He's still there. He still has Big Ben, and now people aren't keying on him. So does he become a thing? All these guys are kind of just jumbled up here, and no one's going to, like, where do you have them ranked right now? Did you go fully that deep?
Yeah, I think I did here. Okay.
Because all mine are just crammed together at the moment.
I had Deontay Johnson at 21, actually. So I have him higher. Claypool is 30 and Juju's 31. So you have So you have Deontay Johnson 25. It looks like I think in Chase
Claypool,
and then
31 and then Juju 32.
So you have those two, each one spotted with Deontay slightly ahead.
So we're kind of in the same area. We think Deontay is probably safest.
I like Deontay Johnson. I think that's a good. Deontay Johnson's my pick to break out. I guess the only reason why there could be hesitation, obviously, is the other mouths to feed. So we'll see how that plays out.
And other guys that I'm interested in, I don't have another guarantee. Like I feel like last year, I'm just not there quite yet. Last year, I was very clear on like Justin Jefferson's like a clear-cut winner for me. Yeah. This is this and this. The other guys that I'm just kind of interested in that I'm watching right now that I think are names that you can get really late. First of all, there are a lot of like second, third year guys or just finally got a little more opportunity. I know you would bring him up as well, but Darnell Moon of Chicago, I think if the quarterback works out the way we think it could, Darnell Mooney is going to be a steal. He is a real talent. I truly believe that.
Currently 54th consensus, right behind Cole Beasley and T.Y. Hilton.
Yeah,
all day I'm going to take that.
Yeah, should not happen. So I love Darnell Mooney. Nicole Hardman, I'm still holding out hope that he turns into a guy, especially with Watkins going to Baltimore. Watkins is kind of another one. I know that this is more of your guy.
Watkins is interesting. It's just he is just no cost anymore.
Yeah, exactly.
He's 79th in consensus. 79th. I mean, does it hurt you to throw Sammy Watkins as your literal last round pick? I don't think it hurts you because you're not going to find more talent down there than Sammy Watkins. The guy, it just never all worked out, but the talent I think was always there. Injuries a lot of times are what caused it. Sammy Watkins is going to be interesting, though. We'll see how that plays out. I might just throw him on the end of my bench one time.
Yeah.
Nicole Hardman, like you mentioned. I like Nicole Hardman's interesting because first year it was just all, big plays. It changed a little bit last year, but now you don't have Watkins there. I mean, he's going to be probably a bigger part of the offense.
I'm pretty sure Robinson is there one more year.
Yeah,
if he beats out Robinson and he is the number 2, like if he really asserts himself this year, that's a game changer.
And he's only 23 years old.
Oh, and he's insanely fast. I mean, you can do almost the same things you do with Tyreek Hill. You can do with him. Can you imagine having both of them at full speed? Oh my, it's impossible to guard him.
Not everyone breaks out year 1 or year 2. This is they used to be the 3-year thing. Here we go. Let's see what happens.
And he's a smaller guy. He's insanely fast for a reason. He's smaller. All right. Yep. He's not quite as built as say Tyreek or something. Yep. So I think he needed the extra time. He didn't go to as big of a school. So, and I do want to mention 2 more guys that I think are very interesting. You always, first of all, you're looking for places that will desperately need to fill targets. Mm-hmm. So number one, we talk about the Lions. We could do that. I don't know who to pick yet, to be quite honest.
Is it Brashad Perriman? Is it Tyrell Williams? Is it Amon St. Ra?
Right. We don't know. So that's an interesting situation we're going to watch. Another one is the Jets, which I actually am starting to fall more and more in love with the rookie Elijah Moore. I think on that team, once again, it's dictated by how well the quarterback does.
Elijah Moore is interesting. He's 74th right now. He's the third of the receivers. Denzel Mims is 68, and Corey Davis finds himself currently. I just had him and I lost him 42nd. Mm-hmm. So that's interesting because honestly, I could see any one of those guys somehow being the guy. People are kind of out on Denzel Mims already, but I mean, who knows?
We haven't seen him play.
You haven't had a chance.
Any of those guys could be like any of the ones we just talked about. Yeah, they could be in the top 30 for sure. They could be in the top 20, and then you have an absolute steal.
Yep. And then I'm kind of still interested in Laviska Shenault for the Jaguars. I just don't know how they're going to use him, what this offense is going to do with him. He's an interesting player. We'll see how that plays out. I'm going to keep him on my radar. And then the rookies are always going to be interesting. I don't like the rookies when they go too high. But Waddle is at 51 right now.
Mm-hmm.
There's not much risk there. Devontae Smith's higher at 40. It makes it where it's a little bit more.
He
of
interests
a value.
me more than Waddle.
Yeah, Jamar Chase is 27th. I'm probably not going there necessarily.
I do like him, but I would rather get T. Higgins.
Yeah, Smith at 40s. That's not. You're not risking really anything to get him. But Waddle as a later round guy, that's. I take those kind of chances all day.
Okay, and this is not stealing from you, but I feel like this is something you would do because this man is from Michigan and you're talking about rookies. I keep going back to Houston and figuring out how can I salvage some of this crap team. If Watson gets to play, because we don't know anything yet, all of a sudden, one wide receiver has to do well, right? They already got rid of a lot of people. And Nico Collins is a very tall, athletic wide receiver that never really put it all together in Michigan. I know Craig is a huge U of M fan.
He'd become interesting because ahead of him would be Brandon Cooks, who never can seem to
stay healthy.
Brandon Cooks would be interesting. But
even he's the number one, fine.
And then Randall Cobb, who again, I don't think Randall Cobb's not anything like old. Randall Cobb used to be. It's not even close.
And he was a talented player. I don't mean to bag on him, but like, come on.
Nico can become interesting. He really can. That is Deshaun Watson is a different story. Like that's going to be like if he plays, he's going to be a steal of a draft probably.
Yes.
Like for people,
it's an insane mess. But Nico Collins will never be a name a lot of people are yelling because first of all they have to figure all that out. But you look at that wide receiving core, it is ugly. It is really ugly right now. And if you have another quarterback throwing to him, kind of just forget about it. Like Brandon Cooks would be probably a good later pick. But if Watson is there, all of a sudden I'm looking for upside. And right now, Nico Collins is 105th.
Yeah.
Are you kidding me? You're taking him for the last one.
Donovan Peoples-Jones.
Yeah, well, first of all, he's in Cleveland. He's never playing. I know people like him too, but no.
It's some Michigan receivers. But yeah, that whole situation's interesting. I don't even know what to do with the Texans. So, all right. There we go. There's wide receiver talk.
I'm so sorry.
We got one more?
I have to. I can never do these very short. The only other guy I have to, well, actually two, and then I will be done. I have to know where you put Robert Woods, and I have to know where you put Adam Thielen.
So 20 and 22. Woods is 20. Thielen's 22 for me right now.
Okay, Thielen is kind of surprising me. He's not higher.
Oh, so you should see where he's actually in the consensus. Let me pull consensus back up here.
Okay.
I think I'm actually high on him in consensus. Let me see. But that becomes an interesting value, I feel like, at times. Oh, I just had a little bit ago, but I was looking and Thielen definitely was dropping. Or maybe not. No, he's back. He's at 20. So he is at 20 right now. So, but that's still lower than what he had been before. So I don't know. Here's
a crazy thing. Adam Thielen, first of all, at half point PPR, finished last year the 8th best wide receiver.
So he's probably under. I probably.
And right now, everyone's saying, "Oh, Justin Jefferson took over." He was 6th.
Yeah,
6th and 8th. You were running the ball heavy. I don't think anything is going to change. So if he he missed a game too. So he just seems like right now in a lot of drafts you can get him as your 3rd wide receiver.
Not bad.
Take him every time. Mm-hmm. Take him every time. Like that is one guy that's being underutilized right now.
Well, and then actually in that fantasy football throne league, I'm doing Adam Thielen is my 3rd receiver.
Oh my God, I love it.
So AJ Brown's 1, Kenny Galladay's 2, and Thielen's 3. Or you could say you can go either however you want.
I would say
Galladay and Thielen.
Well, you got him as your number 3, which is amazing.
Yeah, you can switch. I got him at the turn together, so I got him at the same spot.
And Robert Woods and LA Rams in general. How do you see that coming out? I like Stafford more. Robert Woods has always overperformed. I have to get over my some blind hate I have for him.
I don't know. I just don't. I don't have the words right now. Something about the Rams and Stafford. Just I don't
okay. You're holding.
I'm just kind of like slightly heartbroken. And
do you think Woods will be the number 1 wide receiver, or do you think
I think Woods would be?
I haven't ranked 14 because
I'm just slightly hurt yet. The wound is still fresh. I'm telling you, it's just It's just there. We're trying to rebound with Jared Goff, but it's just a rebound. It's just a thing.
Right. Your old man is calling other people you don't like it.
Yeah, I mean Goff's not. He's not a long term.
I mean, I understand he doesn't want to be with us, but like, do we have to watch him with other people?
And we have their first round pick, so we want them to suck.
Yeah, we do.
It's still a little. I would be happy for Stafford if they do well and they were to win, but it would definitely hurt. It would definitely hurt.
I don't know. You can.
It would hurt.
Sounds so much like you're talking about an ex.
It would hurt, man. It would hurt.
I know. I feel you.
See, at least when like Verlander for the Tiger, when Verlander won his World Series, it was like at least a year or so removed.
No, it's so funny. I'm pretty sure we've ended a podcast like this before. Like this is deja vu.
Yeah.
Every time we go down this road, we just think about all the bad things that have happened and how many good players. Also, we have to watch Middleton. Can we just talk about that for a moment? The Bucks, Detroit drafted Middleton,
traded him for Brandon Jennings.
Good job, Detroit.
Finally, I think that's all. Finally, Cade Cunningham.
Yes.
I feel good for once in my life. We won a title in 2004 and 6 straight Eastern Conference Finals.
We should have
won.
So
I shouldn't be. So, I mean, we had the 2000s as Detroit sports fans. We were pretty good with the Pistons and the Red Wings and the Tigers.
Oh, my.
We're all paying for it now.
Yeah. Well, you got to rebuild at some point.
Just in general. Even in Michigan back then, they were good in football.
I know.
Michigan State was good for you. We had it all. Except for the Lions. We never really had the Lions. But
we cheered for them. We had Scotty Mitchell.
We did have a 2011 playoff game and 2014 playoff
I think
game.
it all started going wrong when we drafted Harrington.
Freaking Joey Harrington.
Anyway, the wide receivers are very interesting this year.
They are. So, all right, that'll do it. Next week, we'll talk tight ends, end up our early ranks for 2021. Talk to you guys next time.